let me get to some questions. Okay, this is from Jordan. Jordan Saucer. Hey, Ariel, who do you think is the best role model in the UFC? That is a very tough question because I don't know if there is a singular one. I mean, I think that there's a ton. I think a Tom Aspinall, I'm just going off the top of my head. I think a Tom Aspinall is a great role model. I think a Michael Chandler is a great role model. I think a Leon Edwards is a great role model. I think of Wonderboy Thompson. Thank you. Hit me with some here. Wonderboy Thompson, great role model.
Brandon Royval.
Give me one. Who is it?
Brandon Royval. Remember, he was talking about what he wants to do.
Amazing. Yeah. That's a great shout, Pizzi. Valentina Shevchenko. I mean, I guess it depends on what you're looking for, right? What they stand for, what they represent.
Volkanovski,
Dustin Poirier. How about that one? Poirier is a great one as well. Max Holloway.
Did we say Holloway?
Hell yeah. Max Holloway is a great role model.
Could you imagine listing the ones that aren't so great?
Yes, I have a couple off the top of my head. I have a couple right now.
I knew it.
Those are maybe easier.
What about Francis? Follow your dreams, believe in yourself.
Tom's a good role model.
Tom, I said.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, Francis is a tremendous shout. Jasmine.
Jazz Divisius.
Yeah, I would say she's a great one. So there are plenty. Chase, what's up, Ariel and crew? I know the last thing you want to do is talk crap about someone or disrespect someone for no reason, excuse me. But next time you have Donn Davis on the show, can you please call him out on his BS? I watch every PFL fight, just like I do the UFC, so I'm not just being a hater. I just hope that it might help him chill with all the nonsense. This weekend he claimed best MMA card of the year. The 5v5 in PFL wins half. I don't know. He's writing in shorthand here, and this is tough. Equal fighter talent. Absolutely not. Cyborg Pacheco, 2 of the strongest female punchers ever. I was actually waiting for these PFL fights, and I love Fight Week media, but as soon as he starts talking, it just kills the whole vibe. I can't be the only person who feels this way. Okay, so I'm going to offer some advice to Donn Davis because people have to understand, a promoter's job is to promote. Excuse me. Back in the day, Dana White was trying to get attention. He was saying somewhat outlandish things, no different than this. And so it's up to you to decipher what you essentially want to believe and what you don't want to believe, what you view as just promotional hype and what you view as reality, what you view as a truth. My biggest issue with PFL right now, well, one of my issues is that I feel like when Donn Davis does these interviews, and I like Donn, I think he's a great character. Of the characters in their sort of executive unit, he's the most interesting one to talk to, in my opinion, because he does at least give you something to chew on. He's not speaking like an executive suit. I still feel, though, that he is speaking like someone who talks to investors, not someone who is talking to fans. So when he says things like, oh, we've got the best card of the year, an investor wouldn't know any different. An investor will be impressed by that. MMA fans are not impressed by that because they know the truth. They know that that wasn't the best card of the year. Was it the best PFL card of the year? Absolutely. Was it the best MMA card of the year? Absolutely not. And they will call BS on that, and they will feel offended, and they will feel slighted, and they will feel like, no, I don't want to give you my money because this annoys me. I still don't feel like PFL should be in the pay-per-view business. I still feel like they would be at their best. It would be prudent for them to not give away the championships on pay-per-view. If they want to do one a year, fine. Multiple a year is crazy in my opinion, and even one a year I think is pushing it. But what are we drawn to as fight fans? We are always drawn to characters as promoters, not suits, not executives, not people who don't feel authentic or don't feel like true fans. What do we love about Eddie Hearn? We love that when he's going down the card from top to bottom, he's talking to us like a fan. What did we love about Dana White in his heyday? He was talking to us like a fan. When those promoters are in their element and they're talking to us like a fan with excitement and not just telling us things that sound good, best fight card of the year, best female fight of the year, all this stuff, that stuff goes over our head. That stuff just kind of falls in front of us and just kind of lands in an empty way. And so I think that people get annoyed, the hardcores, the fans on Twitter, because they say, no, this isn't true. And as opposed to the way they felt about Scott Coker in the Strikeforce days, not the Bellator days, the Strikeforce days, where it was like, this is the little engine that could. I want to support Strikeforce. I want to wear their merch. I want to go to their events. I want to back them. I don't feel like that exists in PFL. In fact, I don't think that has existed in MMA since Strikeforce was sold to Zuffa in 2011. I don't think PFL has ever had it. I don't think WSOF has ever had it. I don't think Bellator ever had it in the Bjorn and or Scott Coker era. No one has what AEW has in wrestling, which is a tribal, dedicated, hardcore, fanatic fan base that will do anything, as crazy it may sound sometimes, to back their promotion, back their leader, back their fighters. MMA hasn't found that since Strikeforce. Prior to that, we had it with the likes of Pride. Elite XC didn't really have it. It's a special thing. And it's an ingredient that not everyone possesses. And right now, PFL doesn't possess that. They have incredible fighters. They can tell good stories. We saw that on Saturday. But this stuff, I agree with the general sentiment of what Chase is saying, but there's a greater issue here. Fight fans don't want a suit telling you X, Y, and Z when they know they don't believe it and they know it's not the truth. They don't want that. They want the real. And maybe that guy is Dan Hardy because his opinion is one that is rooted in experience and authenticity. And maybe he could tell us about it. The problem is, this is the other thing when it comes to promoters, you want to be able to believe and feel like this person is a decision maker. When Reed Harris was working for Zuffa, when they bought WEC, when Reed sold it and his partner sold it to Zuffa, and then he was put in as a figurehead, as time went on, he wasn't an interesting person to talk to because you knew ultimately that talking to him, you weren't getting any real answers, any real insight. When Scott Coker was put in as the head of Strikeforce after Strikeforce was sold to Zuffa, it became very uninteresting to speak to him because his insights didn't really matter. You knew he wasn't the one making the fights. But that's why it's interesting to talk to Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren or Dana White. Even Chatri, as controversial as he may be sometimes, you want to talk to people who you believe are the actual decision makers. So that's why when people say, oh, when Dana retires, they should put Chael in there or DC in there, I say no. I want the guy making the decisions. I want the actual guy making the decisions. If that guy is Hunter Campbell, put him in there. Now, is he charismatic enough? Is he good on camera? We don't know. We will only find out once he starts doing this sort of things if he is in fact that guy. But it's not as easy as just put a guy up there and have him talk. So if Dan Hardy isn't the one making these decisions, then he is not of great use. He's good as an analyst. He's good as a talking head. He's good as a pundit. He's good as someone to speak to about the fights. But I want to know, what's the plan for this? What's the plan for that? Why do you know when they do those overseas events and Dave Shaw sits at the dais and everyone's like, he's saying nothing? It's because he's saying nothing. Because he doesn't want to step on anyone's toes, and they just put him up there as a suit to speak to the local media. So it's a very tricky thing. I think it's a fascinating thing. I love this part of the fight game, but it's not as easy as just throw someone out there. Okay, let's continue. Brandon, hello, Ariel and crew. Life has not been the same without you guys. It's been tough to keep the same level of interest in the sport for the last few months. Thank you for getting content out to us as often as you could during that time. Couldn't be happier to have you guys back in our lives. Congratulations. Continued success to all. Thank you. I'm just kind of going in order of the ones that were sent to us since yesterday. This is from Jesse. Any update on GC getting approved media credentials for Apex 100? Have you applied?
Tough. Yeah, application sent. Just waiting to hear back.
Okay. Also, Jesse asking, following up on last week's question, will anyone from Uncrowned be participating at UFC pre-post fight press conferences? I get this one a lot. Why do you guys care so much? Is it because you're like wondering if we'll be welcomed with open arms? Like, is
Can
there
I answer on their behalf?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I think it's because they feel a community with us and want to be represented at those events.
Sure, but those events rarely lead to anything significant. Like, we'll get these dudes on the show. We'll talk to them on the website. Why do you want us there so badly? Ultimately, and now that I'm more on the, I don't want to say management side of things, but you get what I'm saying. Like, the juice necessarily isn't always worth the squeeze in terms of, okay, what are you getting by traveling to these events? You get to sit there, you get to ask a couple questions, and then what? You know what I mean? Back in the day, you would go to these media days and you would get one-on-ones, you'd get access. Now, you could probably get them now that the COVID restrictions are gone. You'd have to just work a little harder and go to their hotel rooms and whatnot. I used to do this all the time. I just don't see a lot of that being done, if I'm being honest. It's all just the stuff that the UFC feeds, and that's fine. But more to the point, like, that's just what everyone's getting, so why do you need to be there as well? I don't know. I would prefer... For me, like, my mindset is I would prefer someone goes to Hawaii to spend 2 days with Max as opposed to spending the same kind of money to go to Abu Dhabi or even Las Vegas to cover a fight and just be a part of the cattle that gets the same stuff as everyone else. That being said, I'm sure we'll be there. And, we have been there. Like I've said before, Chuck Mindenhall was at the Sphere card, but I don't think it's as important as people make it out to be. Max83, hello, Ariel. Do you think we see 2 title eliminators this weekend in Bobby versus Khamzat and Rakic versus Ankalaev? I could certainly see the latter being a title eliminator. I can certainly see the former being one as well. If Bobby wins, for sure. If Khamzat wins, it's still unclear. PT, what do you think? If Khamzat wins, is he getting a title shot, or is this mystery of his travel issues still just that, a mystery?
Do they factor in, does Dricus du Plessis want to defend his title in the Middle East when they
it's crazy,
when they
right?
do this? Like, that's the situation we're in, though, without a doubt. I mean, I know people are kind of walking on eggshells around the subject, but it's blatantly obvious something is going on there. Ever since this guy came to the UFC, I think it isn't unfair to say he's the greatest prospect we ever saw when he emerged in 2020, I believe it was.
Yep.
And the way he was running through people, I think that's like, I think we wanted, as a fan base, as people who consume the sport, we want to see this guy in the title mix. But then I think you brought this up to me on a previous show. What if he wins? That means you are basically cordoning off a division's title to an area. Like that is what it means. He will only fight, he will only defend that title in Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia. What does that do to that situation? Like, what impact does that have? I want to see him fight for the title without a doubt, but I understand that there's a lot of baggage that comes along with this guy. I think if he goes in there and he has a performance like he did against Kevin Holland, it would be very hard to deny that opportunity to him. If it's more along the Usman and Gilbert Burns things, maybe people won't be as excited about that idea. I personally want to see him fight for the belt, but I understand that there's a lot of restriction that comes along with that with the UFC, right?
Yeah, you can't have a Middle East champion, right? Like, you can't have a guy who can...
Unless you're PFL.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, but that's just like for their MENA and their Europe. But for the UFC, you can't do that. This needs to be rectified. Perhaps if 45 becomes 47, it gets rectified rather easily. This has been discussed. This has been discussed. Let's not get crazy. This has been discussed. I don't know. We don't know how deep this goes. We do know that he has a very close relationship with Ramzan Kadyrov, and perhaps this has been discussed as well. We don't know, but this is what is out there. This is part of the problem. We do not know. It is all just kind of very vague and ambiguous, and that's kind of been, the theme of his career. There's clips of me and DC talking about him in 2020. That's when we were doing our show for ESPN, when he burst on the scene with those 2 fights in 10 days, and then he came back in September, and all of a sudden now he's at 170 and 85, just killing his opponents, not getting touched. I said, if Khamzat Chimaev isn't a champion in the UFC at 70 or 85, by the end of 2021, something has gone horribly wrong. Yeah. It's the end of 2024. It's the end of 2024, and he hasn't even fought for a UFC title. It's insane.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. And one thing I will say about Khamzat is I think he gave an answer this week that I never expected to come from his mouth. I put it into the group for you guys earlier. Like, him kind of saying to Red Corner MMA, like, yeah, I've been very depressed, actually, ever since that COVID thing. I struggled at that point. I know that that's a very small quote, but I think it represents... I hope it represents something in Khamzat, like a turning of a corner. I really hope that it means that we're going to see more of him. But again, with this travel situation, who knows? You're probably right. We probably are waiting for 45 to become 47 if we want that to happen in the US or anything like that.
So let us see. Steve Wilson. Hey, Ariel, you guys are killing it. Well done, and thank you for all the hard work. My question is to ask, how do you cope when you're watching two fighters that you love, have a relationship with, and are eager for both to succeed? I was especially thinking ahead to the possible Juliana versus Kayla fight. And by the way, just want to send my best wishes to Kayla. She was in the hospital yesterday. I'm not really quite sure why. I reached out to her. She said she's okay. But if you look at her Instagram story, she's very clearly in a hospital bed. So I don't know if this is something that came up recently or was scheduled, but just want to send her our best. She did text me back saying all is good. So happy to hear that. Both of whom you seem to adore. It's happening more and more to me where I don't want either fighter to lose. And I can only assume it's been the case for you in many historical bouts as well. Give us your top tips and which bout was the hardest for you to watch in this regard. Up the Reds, Steve. I will be honest, I'm delighted by the fact that Juliana's fighting Kayla. I love the fact that Juliana's fighting Kayla. I don't necessarily root for winners. The only time where I felt like true nerves, like I felt something different inside, I will say there's been one time, it was DC's retirement fight. I really wanted him. I was doing the show with him. You know, we were out of the closet with our friendship, so to speak. I wanted him to go out on top, but or at least have a good showing. But I don't really feel those kinds of nerves. I've said it before. I usually watch fights through the lens of, all right, you know, who can we get on the show Monday? How do we get them? How easy is it to get them? X, Y, and Z. And so I did enjoy July, August, and September when that wasn't necessarily on my mind. But it's great to be back. Thumbs up to the chat. It's great to be back. I just kind of you know, I look at it through that perspective as opposed to who I like, who I don't like. Ultimately, they're both in great spots. They're fighting for a belt, this particular duo. But, you know, if it's other people, I don't know. I really think I do a pretty good job of not looking at them as friends or I'm a fan rooting them on. And so it's relatively easy for me. I mean, honest question, I'm not taking the piss here, PT, but like when you're watching Paul Hughes, you have a relationship with him. We're human beings. I used to try to like pretend that this didn't exist, but we're human beings. You connect with people, you have a relationship, you try to be unbiased, you try to tell it like it is. You certainly do so when it comes to a lot of Irish fighters. I don't think anyone can accuse you of being biased, but clearly there's a connection. There's a long-standing relationship with a Paul Hughes. When you see him on a stage like Saturday against McKee, do you feel anything?
Yeah, I think I do, especially when you've invested so much time in telling their story. You know, that week in particular, he was on my show, The Crack on Fridays, as you all know.
Yes.
And he was obviously the subject of this big feature. I'd spoke to his mother. And in a way, you kind of want him to complete the story you've begin telling, right? So the whole story that week is about him overcoming these obstacles, and then everybody suddenly saying, "Why would you put this guy in against AJ McKee?" The storyteller in you wants him to complete that. On a personal level, when you know intimately how much pain they've gone through to get to this moment, absolutely, you know, you can't help but you know, you can't help but want to see it go well for them. But at the same time, I think I do a good job of kind of separating any really big feelings on that in terms of this is sport, this is what they've chosen to do. You don't want to see guys get hurt, you don't want to see anyone in pain or anything like that. But you know, you doing this a long time now. I think you kind of learn to compartmentalize that. Like, there's been throughout my whole life, like when I started on this scene, you know, you were watching guys who you knew very well fighting each other regularly. So I think you do get used to it. Certainly, if you've invested a lot of time in someone on a fight week, like I did with Paul, yeah, you know, you feel invested in what they're going through, in their story. Part of you as a reporter or a journalist is kind of like, holy shit, I hope I didn't sell these people a pup on Paul Hughes. You know, I hope he is the guy that he says he is. So that's pretty much the way I feel about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel the same. And I think you do a great job of it. I try to do my best. Some might say otherwise. But we try, PT. We always try. And yes, thank you for the reminder. Your show is live at 1 p.m. Eastern this Friday. The Crack.
Slip that in there.
Yeah, the critically acclaimed Crack. Damn, it's a tough one. Critically.
See how positive that
tough.
chat was?
Yeah, no, for sure. Ryder. What's up, Ariel and crew? Will there be a live show when the UFC comes to New York in a few weeks? I've been to the last 2 live shows at NJPAC and the Venetian, so would love if you guys did another live show. Also, who's going to be headlining 311 in California? Thank you, guys. No live show. You know why? Because there's a Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight the night before, so that kind of screwed everything up for us. I don't say that in a negative way, but remember last time we did it on the Friday before the Saturday card. And so I will be in Dallas working that card for Netflix, and so I won't be able to have a live show. Perhaps we will do one. I'm guessing the next time we do one is 2025. NJPAC was great. Venetian was great. 2 very different vibes, of course. One tickets, the other one no tickets. But enjoy them. Not the easiest things to do. I really, if I had 2 wishes, London, Dublin would be the ones that I would love to do next. If we could figure that out, I would be delighted. Would love, 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 love to do that. As for 311, the wind appears to be blowing in the direction of Arman Tsarukyan against Islam Makhachev. Not confirmed, not done. Please don't tweet that I said it's done, but that seems to be the direction, all right? So let's see. That is January in Cali. And by the way, if you're a member, if you're on the chat, you want to give us a super chat, I will answer every single one of those at the very end of the program. So once this is done, once the interviews are done, I will get to those at the end if you wanna hook it up over there. Okay, back to the questions. El Peruano, and by the way, great to see some of the old friends back. It feels like nothing has changed. Hola, Ariel. Have to agree with PT that Phil DeFries would be the best non-UFC heavyweight to fight Francis. Promoted as the lineal heavyweight champion fighting, I think the opponent doesn't matter as much. Can you share a bit behind the curtain? Are you and the boys independent contractors for Yahoo, or is Uncrowned a Helwani company that subcontracts to Yahoo? Gracias. Ooh, I love it. By the way, shout out to Big Phil. He is certainly in the mix. I know PT loved that one. The majority of the people who work on the program here are part of my company, and basically, if you really want to know the
Who, me?
Yeah, you really want to know how it works. Yeah, I have a deal with Yahoo. And then I disperse. So if you're wondering the breakdown, Frank is by far the highest paid person on the team. Yes, and it is well deserved and earned. I'm not saying otherwise. And then there are other people who work on .com that are contracted through Yahoo. ArielHelwani show and Uncrowned and all that IP and the content on the YouTube channel we own. And so it's kind of like a licensing deal. I would say if you want to equate it to something, it's similar to McAfee and ESPN on a much smaller scale. Don't get crazy. And so yeah, that's the breakdown. I think I gave it all to you there. Kevin Holland Oates. What's up, Ariel and crew? Much love from Chicago. What's everyone's go-to karaoke song? I'm dying to know. Frank.
Yes.
Okay, you weren't listening. Your go-to karaoke song.
Oh, that's easy. Yep. It's
Are you just not a karaoke guy?
There's I don't know if I want to admit to it here, but
are you shitting me? Why?
I don't know. It's NWA.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm actually the real reason is I'm forgetting the name of the song.
Oh, okay. You could have just said that. So you actually were listening.
I was.
Oh, why don't you just say I don't want to say it? Okay, what about GC?
I don't have a go-to karaoke song. I don't do karaoke enough. I've done it maybe twice in my whole life.
Twice?
How many times have you done it?
The last time I did it, I actually remember exactly where I was. It was July of 2004.
And you questioned me of only doing it.
Well, by the way, prior to that, I was on a string of 100 straight weekends of doing it.
Whoa.
So anyway, back in July of 2004, I had a broken ankle. It was my birthday. And we went to do karaoke, a little birthday party, and I sang, today is going to be the day that we're going to throw it back to you. You see, PT, you laugh and you say that I'm not a hardcore Oasis fan and a Gallagher fan, but that is, in fact, the last time I did karaoke. It was Oasis.
What's the name of the song?
You're my wonder.
I didn't think you were going to get it.
I
didn't think you were gonna
A
get it.
backbeat, the word is on the street that they got it in and die alive.
Nailing it.
Ariel, isn't it true
Rick
that
has a look
you're-
of disgust on his face right now. What is going on over there? It's just you haven't said a word. I don't think you've said a word. You've been shown, but you haven't said a word. Is everything okay?
Everything is fine. I
You just have a look of disgust, like pure, utter disgust.
I react how I react. I'm
Wow.
sorry. Like the vibes were. No, well done. I like it. Good.
Do you have a karaoke?
I don't have a song. I do karaoke quite a bit.
Oh,
but
wow.
I tend to be the one who, when everybody else is like kind of shy or whatever, like whatever's up, I'll join you. I'll jump in. I'll sing anything. I don't care what it is. I don't care because I don't have a good voice. Like it's going to sound horrible, but I'll just be I'm in for whatever song. Because some people are like, they picked it, then they get scared, then they don't want to do it anymore. I'll just jump in and do it.
When's the last time you did it?
Last year?
Summer
Year before?
2004.
Oh, wow. Okay, so like you're legit.
Yeah, I go to K-Town right here.
Yeah, little barbecue.
You eat a good meal in K-Town and then you go do karaoke. That's how
Are
you
we
do it.
planning like a team morale booster? Are we going to K-Town to do some karaoke?
It doesn't sound like GC wants to go. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
someone's
I'm
got to be
down
the
for
sour
it. If the whole
puss, right?
team's going, I'll go.
By the way, why
Ariel,
do we
you
need
in?
a boost? Why do we need a boost, Frank? Why does the morale need to
Well,
be boosted?
we were talking about going to the Canuck,
Yeah.
and we haven't done that yet. So I'm like, well, maybe it's because we're still workshopping what we want to do, and now I'm putting my bid in for karaoke.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Karaoke.
Yeah.
yeah, let's do it.
Uh,
It's on the books officially now.
all right.
I don't
Pizza,
think
you
we have
coming?
his
You gonna
buy-in.
fly in for it?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
It's all bullshit. Nobody is actually agreeing to this. You just want me to shut up. I get
It's
it.
never gonna happen.
That's fucking bullshit. Yes. We continue. Oops, I lost my spot. There it is. Okay. Oh, here's the guy, by the way. Kevin from Ottawa. Hey, guys, glad you're all back in our lives. 2 questions. Is it thumbs up in the chat or thumbs up to the chat? Because I'm pretty sure you've said both. And here's a good question. When the whole Patty drama went, it's to the chat, by the way, to the chat. When the whole Patty drama went down, there were accusations that you were making money off your guests based on how well your show does. We knew that wasn't true back then, but I'm just curious if with your new deal, that stuff affects you now. The idea of we have produced thousands upon thousands upon thousands of hours for free. We've not asked to pay, or you don't even the membership thing, you don't have to do it. This is just something that Ant loves to do, and so we're doing it. You can watch the show free, no problem. We're not behind a paywall. We'll never be behind a paywall as long as I'm around, unless something horribly goes wrong. I see even people like screen grabbing the membership thing, saying this is a sign that you're down bad. Like, it's free. This is just extra shit. Okay, great. It's a YouTube perk. Now, you still have to make content, and by virtue of making said content, there are sponsors, ads, all that stuff. And so back when Patty was saying I was making money off the interviews off the YouTube channel, I mean, no one's doing anything, like I said back then, out of just the kindness of their heart. We're all trying to make a living. We're all trying to provide for our families and earn money, whether you're a fighter, a promoter, a ticket seller, a merch person, a journalist. Everyone has to live. Back then, I was not an owner of the MMA Fighting YouTube channel. Right now, it is my YouTube channel, but Yahoo takes it over as far as the sponsorship is concerned. So it's now considered something like a brand channel or something like that. And so as of right now, I don't get a cut of that. Down the line, I may, and now we're getting well into the nitty gritty. So the idea that I'm profiting off the fighters is patently absurd. If someone writes a feature on a fighter and puts it in a newspaper, puts it in a magazine, if someone writes a feature on LeBron James and puts it in SI, and SI is something that has to be bought, are they profiting off the fighters? That's just how the world works. Everything is available in some way, shape, or form. Now, it could be for free on a website, but on that website, there's ads, and based on how many people go to the website and click on things, there's this CPM situation, or it could be a thing that you have to actually buy, like the New York Times or the Washington Post. That's how this all works. But the show hasn't changed. It's still free. It's still on YouTube. It's not behind a paywall, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know if this is like a gotcha question type of thing, or has it changed? I've always done the show the same way. People have profited off of the show 1,000%, whether it was Vox back in the day or ESPN or Spotify. that's just the way media works. No one is just working for free. I'd like to think that it's a mutually beneficial relationship. If you think otherwise, then so be it. But that's just how it works. No different than McAfee show or Lebitard show or Rich Eisen show or Dan Patrick show, etc.
It also, by the way, like important to note, it operates in the reverse, right? The notoriety from utilizing platforms to get your name out then leads to an indirect benefit and profit and potential monetary compensation. And so, like, you're not asking for a cut of that on the back end of somebody appearing on the show as well. So it's like direct transactions are the ones that can be tracked. The ones that are not that is the game. That is the heart of it. But yes, nobody, nothing has changed in the nature of how you're doing the business part of it.
Thank you. You said that a lot more eloquently than me. By the way, I'm just Stardust on the chat. I was considering buying a 10-year membership, but if there's any Ariel singing content, I'm buying 20 years. Backbeat, the word is on the street that the fire in your heart is now.
No.
Back to the questions we go. Can we get an update on Mrs. Helwani's composting habits? She's taken a step back. I cannot confirm nor deny whether or not it was because I outed her and her reckless ways, but she...
if you weren't helping and you had all that critique, I think it was wise to stop, yeah.
Yeah. So stay tuned. David Velasquez, hello, Ariel. I know you've been asked about it since the story came out on the day of the PFL pay-per-view. How do you think PFL handled the situation with Diane Silva, who for a month is currently in a coma as a result of the weight cutting? I know you are a pro fighter safety and everything, but do you think it's Bush League on PFL's part to not release a statement about this horrific situation immediately after? I don't know about Bush League, but yeah, no, they should be as transparent as possible. I can understand them wanting to proceed with caution, but it shouldn't take a month for something like this to come out. Of course, I also saw people saying, like, when are you guys going to cover this? We were literally like 5 days old at the time. Chill the fuck out. We were not a thing when this all happened. We have since covered it. Drake has been all over it. It's one thing to put an article out on a reputable platform. It's another to just tweet something out. So we have to do our due diligence. We have reached out to them for comment. They're not commenting right now, but as I read yesterday, Alex Davis has commented on it. We inserted that into the article. Doing our best here, guys. I love when we get journalism critique from people who have never been journalists. Now, you could say, oh, Ariel, you critique promoters. You've never been a promoter. And that's fair. You can do whatever the hell you want. But I will just say, we are on it. We're doing our best. We're covering it. It's a horrific situation. The story should not be how we are or other people are covering it. The story should be what happened, what went wrong, will she get better, will she make a full recovery, how do we avoid this, how did they handle it, why did she keep cutting weight, etc., etc., etc. That's the story, in my opinion, not how the media is covering it, so to speak. But I can understand why there's interest in that, and we're covering it and doing our best. I don't want to say it's Bush League, but something should have been said. It shouldn't have come out a month later. So you can call it what you want. And I believe when it comes to these situations, transparency is king. It's all well and good to come out and talk about things when things are fine and dandy. You need to come out and sometimes address things in some way, shape, or form when they're ugly. And this is extremely sad and ugly. Ben, hello, Ariel and crew. Following on your discussion about potential opponents for Francis's next fight, can you imagine if the PFL went and somehow made Francis versus Brock Lesnar? Wow. I don't know if Brock is a full-on free agent. He might be at this point. That's fucking nuts. Could you imagine that? Brock Lesnar he's in his mid-40s for sure, and obviously is not in a great spot after the accusations and allegations came out regarding Janelle Grant and Vince McMahon. He's 47. I don't think that's happening, but that is a thought. I've not seen anyone throw that one out. Does anyone have interest in Brock Lesnar versus Francis Ngannou?
People would watch the shit out of that, man.
Yeah, man. If you make the
huge.
fight, I'm gonna watch it. Come on.
More interest than the alternatives, yes.
Apart from Phil DeFreeze, of course. Now.
Ngannou Popov
Apart from
or
Phil
Ngannou
DeFreeze, certainly.
God bless Dan Hardy. Yesterday he said the Popov and Gotsov. I'm like, Dan.
No, that ain't it.
If anything, Nemkov is more interesting than those two, right? if anything.
Nemkov's just so small, dude. He's
I
great,
know.
but he's just very small.
More than those two, though. I agree with that. I would rather watch Nemkov. But this is a major issue. Like, this is a major problem for the PFL. Like, you get Francis Ngannou, you win the sweepstakes, right? But are we losing some of the better years of Francis Ngannou's MMA career? Is a legitimate question to be asked, right? He is spending more time boxing, and when he is coming back to MMA, he's in what now, in hindsight, essentially amounted to a squash match, and the next one is not going to be particularly compelling either. It's a dilemma. You have the golden goose, you've got the guy, but now you're in a very difficult position. It's a gift and a curse.
Yeah. Again, I'm not clamoring to see Wilder, but he seems to be the biggest name out there.
In MMA or boxing, where are we doing it?
Anything. There was a time that they were thinking about it in MMA.
Man, I have so little
I
interest
just don't
in
think
that
that's
now.
happening. I think if anything, it'll be boxing.
Who do you think wins? Ngannou, Wilder, and boxing?
It's hard
I
to-
want to see it.
It's hard at this point to
That it's
pick
way more compelling,
Deontay
right?
Wilder.
It's way more compelling.
It is more compelling. It's very hard at this point to pick Deontay Wilder, which is wild to have said potentially even a year ago, but he's just looked like a shot fighter.
Yeah.
I'm really curious.
They have time though, right? Like that is one thing we have
There's
to
no
give them.
rush,
Like Francis has said he wants to take time off now, and completely understandable after the year he's had. But you really hope they can come up with something good. You know, you want to see as many promotions thriving as possible. As Rick said, you have the guy that will get the eyeballs. There's only so many times you can go to well with Francis Ngannou is fighting again against this guy you may have heard of, you know?
I don't know if I've asked you guys this, so correct me if I did. Do you guys have any interest in Rico versus Francis?
Hell yes.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Hell yes.
In what discipline?
That's
Any-
what I was just going to ask.
Any?
Special rules match.
Is this?
where you can
Do you
kick
feel like
and
this is a
punch.
thing?
Rico, the difference between Rico and a lot of the guys we're listing is there's several differences. One, he's got a name and we know he's the best in his sport, right? For any of these other guys, if we're talking about the contenders in the PFL's tournament format, none of those guys are the best heavyweights in the world. That's just period, point blank. In MMA, they are not. Francis Ngannou has a claim to that. Tom Aspinall, John Jones. There's so many names before you can even get to these guys. With Rico Verhoeven, you've got a guy who, no debate, zero debate, there's not a counter argument, is the best kickboxer, the heavyweight kickboxer, and possibly the best kickboxer walking the planet right now. You can't say that about any of these other guys. You can't say that about Brock Lesnar, may be the best pro wrestler, but that's not a combat discipline, and we don't really care about that. So he's faced Tyson Fury, who at the time many considered to be the best boxer. This feels like a comparable scenario there, and you've got that with him that you don't have anywhere else. You've also got a guy who's in his physical prime and continues to like dominate his sport. Again, you cannot say that about these other potential names. I'm very compelled by it. I don't think the fight itself will be very good if it is in MMA, because Francis will dominate him, and I don't think the fight will be very good if it's in kickboxing, because Rico will dominate him. So that's a difficulty, but if you put the names on paper, I think it's one of the more compelling matchups.
Yeah. Especially in like a stadium in Amsterdam or something like that.
In Amsterdam, this fight would go bananas.
Yeah.
Absolutely bananas. Rico is not just a combat celebrity in Amsterdam. He is a national celebrity. He is a mainstream celebrity. So, yeah, he's more compelling to me than any of these other options, again, because he is the best of the best of the best in his sport in his prime.
In front of that crowd, too.
Oh, my God, yeah.
But if you're Francis, are you like, yeah, I want to go to Holland and fight Rico Verhoeven?
I guess what are the other options, though?
Home and away, one in Amsterdam in kickboxing, one in MMA in Africa.
In Africa?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they can send that deal, sign me up. I will be there for sure, but I don't know if I see that happening.
Is there any compelling rule set that you can put on this? Like what Rick
I
said
don't
is
want them
right.
to do. I don't want them to do like hybrid rules.
Nah, yeah, don't give me
Pick
the
a sport.
one-round kickboxing,
Yeah.
one-round MMA. Just
But
choose
I
one of
agree
the
with Rick
disciplines.
that it's a wash either way. You know, like that's what makes it so tough.
Yeah, no. Listen, I think it's a little bit far fetched. It's Glory and PFL coming together. That's probably a tough one right now.
Are there no UFC top heavyweights that could be that could shake loose, that are one deal left, like one fight left?
No,
that they could
we
wait
thought
on?
Derek was that guy.
I thought Derek Lewis would be the guy. That didn't come to fruition. Is there nobody else? Is that
What
not
fights
a
does
thing?
Pavlovich have?
I won't pretend to know everyone's contract status, but I don't know if there's anyone who's that big to begin with. Like if Sergey Spivak becomes a free agent, does that make that big of a difference?
Yeah, probably not. You need like a Derek Lewis.
There's
type
only like
name.
3-4 guys that matter. Doesn't really matter if Alexander Volkov becomes a free agent. Does it really matter?
What you really need is somebody with some name value to decide that they want to be the one to do it. That, like the way Francis decided, I am going to be the one to buck the trend and not take the UFC's offer and be the biggest free agent that another promotion is going to land. You need somebody else to be the second. And unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be happening at the moment. And so we've been left with less than ideal options.
Hey, shout out to Combat Sports Today. He says, make Francis versus Rico in a stadium in France with Doumbé, Lazy King, and others. Ronaldo and Mbappe will be there. Not a bad shout.
Yeah,
Not a bad
at
shout.
all.
That would be
It would
gigantic.
be a massive show.
You could do that at Parc des Princes. You know what I'm talking about? Where PSG,
Yeah, of course.
you know what's up with Parc des Princes. Also want to give a shout out to A on YouTube. He just gifted 50 memberships to the crew over there. Thank you, A, whoever you may be. Another super chatter, JTV asks, first timer commenting, just wanted to see what you thought about this far-fetched idea. If Trump gets elected, do you think we would be able to see travel bans lifted from UFC fighters like Khamzat? No idea how that all works. But I certainly think it could help. It won't hurt.
It's hell. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. We know what happened. That's Darren Till what happened.
Right, exactly. That's a good point. This is from Travis. Ariel, you caused me to lose a bet. I bet a friend that you would answer my question last week and you didn't, but I understand you may be afraid. The classic. I mean, it's literally, I'm going in chronological order, so congratulations, despite the fact that you said anything goes. I'm trying this again. This is your first election in America to vote as a citizen. Who will you be casting your vote for in the election for the 47th president? You mentioned to Money Moicano last week that it shouldn't be taboo to ask someone who they're voting for, which I agree too. I couldn't agree more. I agree with my statement. I don't think that should be taboo. Frank, should I build this up into a thing? Like maybe we could do a live stream. Maybe we can follow me. What do you think?
A live stream like on election day?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. 100%.
Oh, you know what? That's a great idea, Frank. Should we do an election day watch party?
Absolutely.
And I could, can you guys follow me to the polling station? Is that what it's called?
You're not early voting?
No. Are you?
Yeah.
Have you voted already?
Absolutely.
Serious?
Dead serious.
Do you go? How does that work? Do you go physically or do you?
It's in the building that I work at, yeah.
You mean this building?
Yep, that's the building I'm talking
There's an
about.
early voting thing here?
Nah, Frank has like 8 jobs.
Oh.
He's always like, oh, I'm at this studio. I'm at
Oh.
that
Sir,
studio.
yes,
sir.
It's like, cool, man.
Excuse me. By the way, as you know,
How am I sounded?
I hear Shaheen there.
You're sounding great. Shaheen.
You sound
But you are
fantastic.
going out over the air.
Wait, so is that true? Can we actually vote here?
No, not here.
Oh.
Mail-in, early voting. I
Well,
think you might have missed the window. You're gonna have to go to the actual poll.
I mean, I'm happy. Here's what I'd say. The reason I became an American citizen, was because in 2020, as an adult, as a parent, stuff like that, I got tired of sitting on the sidelines. Everyone's going crazy. I live here. I've been now living here longer than I have in Canada. I moved from Canada to the U.S. in 2001. I just turned 19, and so I guess 20 years after that would be 22, right? Yeah, no, 21. So 21, 22, I had surpassed my time in Canada, which is kind of mind blowing. And so I said, okay, for the next one, I want to take part. A lot of shit has happened since that election, and I will say, as of right now, this is a shoot. This is an absolute shoot. As of right now, I don't think I will be voting. And that's crazy because I went through this whole process and paid a lot of money to become a citizen. And I had to go get sworn in, X, Y, and Z. I had to go do all that only to not exercise my right to vote. And the reason for that is I would say that I'm historically a little bit more left-leaning than right. I would say my family, as I've said on this show many times, and that's why I always laugh when people will say, like, I'm liberal, I'm snowflake, this and that. My family has always been right-leaning, in particular because of the politics in Canada, and in particular because historically right-leaning people are, extremely pro-Israel, and that's obviously the most important topic to me. And so I've battled with my brother and my father over this. I am not a fan of Kamala Harris. I will just say that outright. And, obviously Trump brings his own issues as well. It's a tricky one. It's a very, very tricky one. But I think as of right this moment, I don't think I will be voting. And that blows my mind because I never would have predicted this 4 years ago when I was put in this position. I do think it's going to be supremely close. I think it's going to be as tight as it was 4 years ago. And that's why I would like to do a watch party, by the way. But I will say to all those people who call me a snowflake, call me this and that, we're probably a lot more similar these days. And the boys in the back can attest to this than you think. And we don't need to get down this rabbit hole. I'm happy to go down it if you guys would like. We're kind of out of time here for this particular segment. But I'm happy to explain why I'm at this point in my life and why I view things the way I view them right now. But I will just say unequivocally, I think it would be a huge mistake if Kamala Harris becomes president of the United States. I don't think she's presidential. I don't think she's the person for the job. And I think the way in which we got to her being the Democratic presidential nominee was a sham and very undemocratic, if you ask me. So I don't like that we have been saddled with two substandard options. That's a bummer. But hey, them's the breaks. I'll tell you who I do love. Frank, are you familiar with a gentleman named Pierre Poilievre?
I'm not.
You got to look him up. He is our Lord and Savior. He is our hero. He is the one that is going to change everything in the Western world. He is the future Prime Minister of Canada, and he is the freaking man. If I can meet one celebrity right now and shake their hand, it would be Pierre Poilievre. If I can meet one celebrity on the planet, it would be that man. I think that guy is incredible, and I wish we had someone like him leading the way here in America. All right. With that, thank you very much for the questions. I appreciate you all very much. UFC 308, and we can get to more on the back end, including super chats. Let me get to these super chats, and then we'll call it a day. This is from A, who I understand has been gifting everyone with memberships. So thank you very much to him. He asks a question about PFL's alleged gag order on the Diane Silva story. Are there multiple sources backing it? I don't necessarily understand the question. I don't think it's a gag order. I don't know if there's a gag order, to be honest, but I just think they're not commenting on it. I don't know. I don't think there's a gag order. I just think they're not commenting on it. That's really it. But we're doing our best, and we'll keep you posted. And ultimately, we hope that everything works out and that she makes a speedy recovery and is able to live a healthy and productive life. From Chris K. Ariel, what do you think of Ngannou versus Andy Ruiz, a victory over the first man to beat AJ professionally? And will we ever get Funko Pops of you and the team? I don't know how you get Funko Pops. Can someone call Funko Pop for us?
Yeah, we'll just dial them up.
Okay. I don't know how, but that would be cool. I'm a little bit more of a traditional bobblehead guy. MMA bobblehead wanted to make one of me. These ones are great. The plastic cell ones. This one, the Dame one. But open to anything, really. Open to anything. And Ngannou Andy Ruiz, sure. Doesn't blow me away like the Rico fight, but sure. Keto Kai. I enjoyed the Fluffy interview on Monday. As I was listening to him talk and catch his vibe, he's very chill. It gives me Nick Diaz vibe / Chino from Deftones. Frank, what is your favorite Deftones track?
Oh, nice. I would want to say Passenger, but my favorite from their entire thing would be 7 Words.
Is that a real song?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Before we move on, did you go listen to some Meshuggah last night?
No, I didn't. But you sent me some Bill Burr stuff.
Did you watch that?
No, I didn't.
All right. Well, you had a busy night.
But I appreciated you sending it to me.
You know, Rick watched it.
Did he? Did he like?
I didn't watch it.
Okay.
Oh,
perfect.
wow. All right. You know what?
No, we appreciate it, though.
I'm in the same boat as Ariel. Like, really appreciate it.
No, we really appreciate it. Chris K says, or at least he suggests, Rico versus Ngannou in 4-ounce kickboxing in the smart cage. So I guess 4-ounce gloves, kickboxing, smart cage. I just want it to be a real thing, but I guess I could settle for that.
Whoa, before we move on,
Yeah.
what is your preference at the moment?
Right
What do you
now,
wanna see?
I say boxing.
Because it's the fairest middle ground.
Yeah.
Does it feel though, and I say this respectfully, like, does it feel though like we're getting them not in their best? Like, we're getting a worse version of them just to make it more fair. You know,
It just seems like
what I'm
neutral
saying-
territory.
Yes, but like neutral territory where they're not their best. You know, like, I would rather see the series. Personally, I would rather see the series because I'd rather see them in their best element against each other. But yeah, I guess boxing is the fairest if we only get one. I
just don't know if Rico in MMA is that interesting, especially with Francis turning into Cale Sanderson. And I mean, kickboxing is tough. Like, Rico's the freaking man when it comes to kickboxing.
But yes,
listen, I'll take it in any way. I'm just thinking about this stadium in Amsterdam or a stadium in Africa, and I just think it would be fun and just like another notch on Francis's belt.
I'm all in on the fight. I think I prefer the series. Or I'd honestly, if I had to choose one, I'd rather see Francis kickbox. If I had to choose one, I would rather see Francis kickbox against Rico.
Terrible idea.
Look, I'm not saying it's going to go successfully, but boxing, like the same way I don't want to see Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal box off rip. Now, that turned into a fantastic fight. It's not their best skill. It is not their best skill set.
Yeah.
That is a poor approximation of what I love about these athletes. Francis Ngannou boxing is not the best version of Francis for me. Rico Verhoeven not being able to use kicks is not the best version of it for me. It just feels like nerfing them. It feels like putting a dampener on them just for the sake of we have to make it even. I don't know. Maybe one of them challenges themselves and fights in the other discipline, and I'm okay with that.
What do you say, PT?
I actually agree with what Rick's saying, you know, and I was trying to think of some type of hybrid rule set as you were interviewing him, but I can't. I was like, maybe you could take him down, but you can only spend like 30 seconds on the ground. I was all over the gaff.
That's the last thing I want. I don't want the hybrid rule set.
I think if any fucking parent called for a hybrid rule set, once it's better than the one I've come up with, of course, GC. But once there is something there, I think that's a parent that you do something. Do you remember when the Mayweather Conor thing was first floated? All about these kicks and whatnot. You can throw 5 kicks around. We were fucking losing our minds during the build up of that fight. So why can't we have a bit of fun with this?
Nah, I
4 kicks only, Rico.
I think I rank it like boxing, kickboxing, MMA, hybrid. That's my rank in terms of what I would want.
I want to love the boxing idea, but I can't. It's just.
So I'll take kickboxing.
Yeah.
Let me work on a hybrid skill set. All right, let me just.
Pizzi's going to solve this. Don't worry.
My number one is the home and home one.
That would be
I
sick.
think that's.
But even he says, yeah, probably I win the kickboxing, he wins the MMA. So, where's the intrigue? What have we learned here?
Boxing is the
well,
third
if we see
leg.
kickboxing, he's going to win the kickboxing.
What happens if he? What happens if he doesn't? When Rico said that, there was something in his face that made me think he thinks he's going to win the MMA as well.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean,
what if he doesn't lose the MMA?
Yeah, what if he beats him in MMA and then Rico Verhoeven starts his MMA career?
Yeah.
And it was all birthed right here.
Well, he has one, but it would be the
has one fight. But it does make me think. I wonder if the Glory guys are like, yo, Riyadh season, can you hook us up?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's boxing, there's MMA, there's pro wrestling. How can we get?
Should they just wrestle then? Should they pro wrestle?
Fuck, that would be something.
Madam Morris.
Yeah.
Oh, I was talking pro wrestling, but yeah, they could grapple too.
You know, I'd love to hear their take on that.
Who?
Mr. Aspinall. Because he trains with Rico all the time.
And friends with Francis and Nixick. He hit me up today saying, Rico, I said he's some man. He's not some man. He's the man, he said.
He's some man for one man.
That's one of my favorite lines these days. By the way, shout out to Spencer who says, I used to sneak out of class 12 years ago to call into Ariel's show. Amazing to watch your journey from Ariani on the Bondi Beach and Mitrione Minute to now. Talk of Islam versus Ilya someday. Who would the boys pick? Islam, Ilya at 155. Who you got, GC?
Islam.
Islam, wow. Not even a question, not even a hesitation.
I just think going up a weight class, and I mean, we've seen what Islam has done to, one of the greatest featherweights of all time, and Alexander Volkanovski coming up a weight class.
GC, oh, sorry, Rick?
Islam. Don't even need to think hard at all.
PT?
Ilya Topuria.
Yeah, he's one of your own.
Team. Well,
I
they're
wonder
both
what the
Team
line
Europe.
would be
What
on
am I
that
saying?
fight.
That would be something. The buildup would be something, especially with the Georgia-Russia.
I'm more
history.
interested in Islam going up than I am him fighting
Yeah.
another featherweight.
Islam going up to 170.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never going to happen. Well,
Never?
at least
What?
not as long
Why?
as Bilal is champ, because they're buds.
Are they?
Two more months, maybe?
Yeah.
Wow.
By the way,
Are they?
you know what's the most fugazi feud out there right now? It's Usman and Bilal. Like, we know this is all being orchestrated. Like,
Sure.
we got the footage, we got the this. Like, come on, no one's buying any of this.
Yep.
Like, come on, you're pals. I get it.
They don't need to sell bad
A
blood.
for effort.
I think that's a fine fight. They don't need bad blood on that. Forget that stuff.
Question for New York Rick: what season do you recommend starting to watch the challenge? This is from Long Weekends.
This is
You
like
was telling me
picking,
this yesterday.
this is like picking one of my kids. Like
Tell them what you told me.
there's Inferno is amazing, Runes is amazing. Now there's like 2 and 3 of each of these, but start with the first one: Inferno, Runes, Fresh Meat. Free Agents was really good. The latest season, 40, is fantastic. It's impossible. You have to just do them all, but you don't have to watch them in order, which is fantastic. You can just watch one season and then skip to the next. But Inferno and Ruins and Cutthroat are kind of like top tier.
Shout out to Mighty Zane, gifted 20 memberships. Well done.
Wow,
Very
shout
kind
out.
of you. And final one, this is from Mike D. Does Conor McGregor have a sunset clause? Is there a date that you know of? And 2, well, this is more like 3 questions, if I may. Is a Kane-Francis rematch possible? How do we feel about this? Golly. I would be lying if I said I know the status of Kane's contract. It has been a minute. And obviously he has some other issues that he needs to deal with his legal issues. Sunset clause for Conor, I don't know of. I'd be surprised if there is one, given his stature and popularity. And so I don't know of a date as well. I think we'll get the 2 fights. The question is, do we get more than that? He seems to be having itchy knuckles when it comes to all the bare knuckle stuff. And by the way, we clipped off Regis Prograis talking about his desire to be a bare knuckle fighter. And Jorge Masvidal wrote to us under the tweet saying, come to Gamebred FC. So that's the bare knuckle MMA promotion that Jorge Masvidal runs.
I love that.
So here's Regis Prograis throwing his hat into the mix. So great stuff there. Thank you very much to everyone who was a part of the initial membership situation. Thank you very much to everyone for sending in questions. I think we got to everything. Did we get to everything? Is there anything else?
No stone left unturned.
Yes. Thanks for watching this video. Hey, before you go, do me a favor, hit that sub button, give us a thumbs up, hit the little bell thingy as well. Leave us a nice comment or 2. We appreciate you all very much.